Hello everybody, welcome to Life in France. Life in France versus life in the UK. I'm Mark, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. In today's video of Life in France, I'm going to talk about education in France, schooling in France. Now, I'm only going to talk about preschool and primary school, guys, and a little bit on going on to further education, because we've got young children. We've got a child that's 4 and another that's 6. So I'm going to do the comparisons between my children and that of my sister, who's educating her child at the age of 4 in the UK. So let's start off with the UK. Like most parents in the UK, my sister and her husband both work. So they've chosen to send their child to nursery. I believe they started at the age of 1. I know with my daughter in the UK, she started at 9 months. And they're paying £95 per day for nursery, which is a huge amount of money. And obviously the child's there full day, so the mum can go out to work. Now my sister's child has reached 4, they're now looking for primary school. And they've actually decided to go private. The child at the age of 4 has actually had to have an interview for the school, had to take an examination. He's actually passed it, and they're now considering to send their child to this private school. £1,000 per month. That's the cost of private education for them in the UK. Now on the flip side, education in France, you can send a child to kindergarten, preschool, from the age of 2. Basically, once they're dry. And kindergarten is actually free up to the age of 6 for any child in France. However, we've chosen to go private. We're sending them to a Catholic school, and it's known as a private school. Now, obviously, with my sister, with her education for the child in the UK, they're paying £95 a day for nursery, and then they're now looking to consider going to private education for £1,000 per month. With the education system in France, as I said, it is free, but we've decided to actually pay for our boys to go to school. I'm afraid it's not £95 a day. It's not £95 a quarter. It's £130 per year for each child. £130 per year. So the education for our 2 boys is £260 per year. That's it. And just imagine what you can do with that extra money. They're looking to spend £12,000 a year on the education of their 4-year-old. And to be honest, I worked in the city when I was in my late teens into my 20s, and I came across a lot of hooray Henrys that went to the best schools in the UK, and they came out with less qualifications than I did. Yes, they spoke with a posh accent, but the guys were thick. They had no education. But what I found out is not what you know in the city, it's who you know that counts. And I came from a normal background, and I had to work really hard for pay rises and promotions. But these hooray Henrys, what they did was they'd go and work for their daddy's companies or their daddy's friends' companies, and they'd all send their children to various companies of friends, and they'd all make sure those children do well. So I was really astonished by the fact that no matter how hard I worked, there were hooray Henrys getting better pay rises, better promotions than I, purely because of who their dads were, and I thought that was unfair. So it's not so much the education. In life, it's who you know that makes a big difference. So for me, private education, I want to go down that route. I actually had some friends in the UK who came into £500,000, and they decided to send their daughter, their only daughter, to a private school in the area where they lived. And to be honest, the area where they lived wasn't great. And I sat down with them, I said, surely, rather than spend all this money on private education, why don't you move house? Because they'd finished working. Why don't you move house to a better area where there's better schools, And the whole, then, 24 hours a day, you're living in a better area, rather than sending your child to a private school where she's spending 8 hours a day in a nice environment and then walking home in a rough area. For me, I'd rather move house, spend that £500,000 enhancing the house and the area where I live and finding some good quality schools near there. Surely that's the better route rather than private education. With regards to the education in France, you know, in kindergarten it is more play, you know, they're doing painting, singing, dancing and so forth. But what we have noticed is now that our oldest is 6, he's actually getting homework. And the French are very much into doing homework. And they start off gradually, and then every year it gets a lot more. Until once they get into secondary education, you know, from friends who've spoken to me, their children are doing an hour and a half, 2 hours every night of homework. The French are quite strong on the education side of things. As regards to speaking French for the boys, the one thing the teachers always say to us is that we have to speak French at home and we have to watch French television. And I must admit, we don't. We have an English home, we watch English TV and we speak English. Now, the one thing I found out, we've got friends down the road and their son, when he came about, the mum wasn't that fluent in French. So she didn't really help him so much with his homework. And he actually, at the age of 10, was top in class for French. And you would never have guessed he was English. His accent was perfect. Those parents then had a daughter that came along, and by that time the mum was more fluent in French and she actually helped the daughter with her homework and with her French. And now they're saying the problem is the school's actually saying to them that the daughter speaks French with an English accent. So for us, having the school tell us that we have to have a French home, I think it's wrong. You know, we're just concentrate on getting our guys to learn English, getting them to read and write. I'm very much into the maths, so I'm doing a lot of maths with our boys, and that shows at school because the teacher says, you know, they're well ahead on the maths. So, yes, there is a slight reduction in their French compared to the French children. However, none of those French children can speak English. You know, my boys are fluent in English, and they're not that bad on their French. You know, we've started having play dates now when they've got French children coming to our house. And throughout that play date, the 6 hours, the boys are speaking French to their friends. So, you know, they're doing really well. And I think the fact that they're going to be bilingual is going to give them a good start in life when they start working. Guys, I know the schools in the UK are open 5 days a week. In France, they were open 4.5 days plus Saturday mornings. But they cut out the Saturday mornings, and when our boy started school, he was doing 4.5 days. But then I believe there was a committee meeting, and it went down to the parents to vote on whether to scrap the Wednesday school half day. And that actually went ahead. So now our boys actually go to school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. They've extended the day a little bit. They start at 8:30 and finish at 4:30, but they're only doing 4 days. So it's fantastic. We get to spend more time with the boys. And they do have a canteen available as well. For us, because we've actually gone outside our council, we actually have to pay slightly more for the food. And it costs us €4.10 per meal. So €8.20. And what Naomi and I do is we send our boys to the canteen pre-COVID on a Thursday and Friday. And Thursday and Fridays were the days that Naomi and I could have date days. You know, we go off to have a nice lunch. The boys were happy at school. They're doing more French at the canteen. And it gave Naomi and I 8 hours where we can just enjoy ourselves as a couple. So it was fantastic. You know, the best thing for us was when the boys both started going to school. Our life restarted again. At the age of 10, they then go on to further education, going to secondary school. And at that point, we're probably, because we're rural, rather than me driving the boys to school, they get the school bus into town for for them to start and commence school. Guys, I've mentioned that our boys go to the canteen, and there's been a lot of controversy with the school dinners in the UK, in that they haven't been so healthy for the children. In France, totally different level. You know, the French take their food very seriously, and the boys have a 3-course meal at their canteen: starter, main course and dessert. And it's, you know, divided into all your nutritional elements, you know, protein, carbohydrate, vegetables, fruit. It's just fabulous. It's like a restaurant. And for €4, 10 cents, you can't beat it. So school dinners in France, brilliant. Guys, if you're thinking of moving to France and you're bringing young children with you, I do know a lot of friends who have brought young children from the age of sort of 4 to 9, and all the children, the older ones struggle a little bit in the first year, but they really just grasp the language very quickly. And for the 4-year-olds, they just assimilate the language very quickly, and all have done really well at school. There hasn't been a trouble with them assimilating the French lifestyle and the French language. Their brains are just like sponges at that age, and they just take on board everything that's around them. And for young children, moving to France isn't an obstacle when it comes to the education. And you probably find, as we do, that we believe the education system is a lot better in France than it is in the UK. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this slice of life in France. Life in France versus the UK, and talking about the education system in both countries. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody.